All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are breaking down a seriously popular approach to personal finance, straight from Ramit Sethi's massive book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Listen, if you've been hunting for a complete, no-nonsense breakdown of the system, maybe you want to overhaul your own bank accounts, or hey, maybe you're a creator looking for some top-tier research so you can summarize this book for your own YouTube video, well, you are in the exact right place. Our goal for this explainer is to completely unpack Sethi's guilt-free 6-week program to building long-lasting wealth. Now, we have all seen that totally exhausting advice from traditional online finance influencers, right? Honestly, if you listen to them, your day has to look something like this. You wake up at 4 a.m., you drink 37 gallons of water, you track every single penny you've spent for the last 16 years, and then, well, you die. Obviously, I'm kidding about that last part, but you get the point. Most traditional finance advice is just so exhausting, and it's completely unsustainable. If dying while counting pennies isn't exactly on your bucket list, Sethi offers a much, much simpler promise. No guilt, no excuses, no BS. Just a totally actionable 6-week program that actually works. So here is our roadmap for today. First, building your financial infrastructure. Next up, investing and mindful spending. Then we'll look at how to automate while you sleep. After that, we're busting the myth of financial experts, and finally, living your rich life. Let's dive in. Section 1, building your financial infrastructure. This covers the first 2 weeks of the program, because let's face it, you can't build wealth without the right bedrock. Okay, let's just shatter a massive myth we all grew up hearing. We were always taught that credit cards make overspending way too easy, right? That they're basically evil villains and we should avoid them at all costs. But the source material radically disagrees with this. When optimized, credit cards are actually incredible tools. Why? Because the reality is, our absolute largest life purchases, like buying a house, are made on credit. Having a stellar credit score doesn't just let you buy the house, it literally saves you thousands and thousands of dollars in interest rates over time. So this brings us to week 1's actionable steps. And guys, these are minor tweaks, but they make a massive difference to your credit score. First up, get a card with a low interest rate. Second, and honestly this one is non-negotiable, always pay it off in full every single month. Third, if you stop using a card, never cancel it. Just leave it open so you maintain your long credit history. And finally, literally just call your bank and ask them to increase your credit limit. Doing that lowers your credit utilization ratio, which is a huge factor in bumping up your score. Moving right into week 2, we're focusing on the true backbone of your personal finances, your bank accounts. You need to set up with absolutely zero tolerance for hidden fees. First, find a bank you actually trust. If they give you a weird vibe, just walk away. Second, open a zero-fee checking account for your daily stuff. Third, open a high-interest savings account for those midterm savings. And think about convenience here. Do they have an amazing app? Can you use any ATM without a fee? Once you've picked one, call them up. Negotiate away any existing fees or just ask for better rates. Seriously, do not be afraid to just ask. Section 2, investing and mindful spending. Now that your basic infrastructure is locked in, let's shift gears from just storing your money to actually growing it in weeks 3 and 4. Here is the absolute deal. Investing is the single best way to get rich. The market just keeps growing, and people who don't invest usually end up deeply regretting it later. So for week 3, if you're in the US, your absolute first step is your 401k. For those who don't know, this is an employer-sponsored investment account that uses pre-tax money. But the real magic here is the employer match. It is essentially free money. By maxing this out, you are investing and growing your wealth without even feeling it. And hey, if you're outside the US, just look for your country's equivalent retirement vehicle and max that out instead. Now for week 4, we really need to talk about spending. Have you ever actually stopped to think that some of us spend more on our smartphones than people in other parts of the world pay for a whole mortgage? Or that we casually buy shoes that cost way more than our grandparents paid for their actual cars? We somehow just forget that all these modern everyday costs add up super quickly, and that sets the stage for why we desperately need to rethink our daily spending habits. The ultimate fix for this is mindful spending. And notice, we are not using the dreaded B word here, budgeting. No thanks. Instead, it's about planning your spending in advance. Here's a brilliant rule of thumb to visualize exactly where your money should be flowing. Roughly 50 to 60% goes to your fixed costs. We've got it charted at 55% right here. At least 10% goes strictly into investments. Around 5 to 10% goes to savings, shown here as 7%. which leaves a totally glorious 20 to 35%, let's call it 28%, for entirely guilt-free spending. You get to spend that on whatever you want completely stress-free because you know the important stuff is already handled. Section 3. Automate while you sleep. Take a deep breath. We are now building up to the climax of the entire program in week 5. This is where we plug your shiny new banking infrastructure and your mindful spending flow into one seamless, unstoppable machine. Think of this as your very own automation machine. It's a totally foolproof, completely hands-off process. Step 1. Your salary gets deposited directly into your checking account. Step 2. You set up direct debits for all your expenses, meaning you will literally never, ever forget to pay a credit card bill again. Step 3. Set up standing orders to automatically push that 5 to 10% right into your savings account. And Step 4. You literally just go to sleep or relax or go about your day, knowing your accounts are doing all the heavy lifting in the background. Building wealth basically goes on autopilot. Section 4. The myth of financial experts. All right, going into week 6, we really need to lower your anxiety about the stock market. Look, as humans, we naturally love to trust experts, right? Like pilots flying a plane or doctors prescribing medicine. But when it comes to the stock market, you absolutely do not need to be some Wall Street guru to succeed. The harsh truth is, financial experts can't actually guess where the market is going. They make huge mistakes, and they fall for the crazy hype of picking individual, highly volatile stocks all the time. But the great news for you and me, smart investing isn't about picking individual stocks anyway. It's about investing in index funds. Index funds basically cover the entire market. So, while some individual stocks might crash and burn, the market as a whole historically goes up over the long run. Index funds are the reliable, long-term hero of this whole story. Section 5. Living your rich life. We did it. We've made it through all the mechanical steps. Your system is built. It's fully automated. Now we shift to the ultimate resolution and the real purpose behind this entire program: how to actually enjoy the money you just organized. You've really got to keep this core philosophy in mind. The goal is to be happy, not to die rich but miserable. Honestly, this is the ultimate takeaway from this whole explainer. Optimizing those credit cards, maxing out your 401k, automating your accounts, literally all of it is completely pointless if you aren't using that wealth to actually enrich your life and your mindset. Happiness is the name of the game here. And to keep that happiness intact, keep this bit of dry humor in your back pocket. Investing should be exactly like watching a marathon. In other words, wonderfully boring. Seriously, leave the exciting investments to the guys who want to gamble and lose all their money. You are in index funds for the long haul. You check it rarely, and you just let it grow steadily in the background. So, let's lock in some rapid-fire mindset shifts. We'll call these the rich life rules. First, spend freely on the things you genuinely love, whether that's rare books or your daily fancy coffee. Just balance it out by mercilessly cutting your spending on the stuff you don't care about. Next, focus your energy on the big wins, like negotiating a raise and making more money, instead of just agonizing over saving a few pennies here and there. Also, remember that your friends and family are definitely going to try to give you financial advice. Listen politely, but ignore the bad advice and stick to your automated system. And finally, please, do not spend your entire life staring at a spreadsheet, unless, that's genuinely your idea of a good time. So the absolute bottom line is this: if you make the right big decisions up front and set up your automated system, you will never have to stress over saving $3 a day on lattes ever again. Your money just takes care of itself while you're out there enjoying the finer things. Which leaves me with one final, pretty provocative question for you to think about. What exactly are the finer things in life for you? Seriously, stop stressing over the pennies, get your wealth automated, and go figure out what your personal rich life truly looks like. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.